have a question.
Sure.
So is cooking and cleaning a feminine trait?
Cooking and cleaning, is it a feminine trait? So
From your
it's not,
perspective.
from my perspective, it's like, okay, if someone's gonna have a duty, right? Meaning that they're going to be the one that consistently does it and does it the most, cooking and cleaning would be a feminine trait. Yeah. Doesn't mean that a man can cook, that a man shouldn't cook and clean, or when he does, that's feminine. No, I'm not saying that. If the man is always cooking and cleaning, well, dang, bro, how you got that much time to be cooking and cleaning? Are you the stay-at-home woman? And she out there working, getting the bag? So it kind of seems a little weird. What's up?
So I want to say, like, my last relationship, my boyfriend was a chef, and that's just what he enjoyed doing.
You always got an exception to the rule.
I'm just asking because, I mean, does that make him feminine? Because, and my thing is, when he would cook, he would clean up after, and he cleaned up very well.
Well,
he was also Jamaican, so it's like,
cooking and cleaning to me is not a feminine trait. But if you have a man and a woman who live together, and if the man is majority of the time at work, then the woman should cook and clean.
His job was as a chef, so that was his
right.
vacation.
But like again, though, like the question was, is it a feminine trait? No, cooking and cleaning is not a feminine trait, because if you're a single man and you live alone, you have to cook and clean anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So it's really not a feminine trait. But
It comes down to gender roles is what we're saying.
Right. So like, because usually like the traditional gender role, man and a woman, the man works, usually the woman stays at home. But nowadays, men and women work, but usually men are working more than women because they're paying the majority of the bills. So women tend to have a little bit more time, even though they do work. So in that scenario, the woman should cook and clean. But that doesn't mean if a man comes home and if he's off that day, he shouldn't cook, he shouldn't clean. That doesn't mean that. It just means because you're a party there to make each.
She got sound like she gonna got something.
You
You should have stopped like a couple seconds ago.
You were doing good. You were doing good up until a certain point.
Yeah.
What wasn't he doing good that you think?
The part where you said, men work more, because I don't think that that's accurate. I think men,
Generally speaking, he talking about.
yeah, generally speaking, I don't think that's accurate. But
Even generally, you don't think that's
I
accurate?
don't.
Well,
No.
there are statistics and facts on it that men work longer hours.
That's exactly what I mean.
So we're not saying that. Wait, what?
I'd like to see the statistic because
Because
I
y'all
think
Pull it up after it.
Well,
It's
yeah,
facts.
that's
because y'all
Like, think
choose
about
to.
it. Women. You got to think about this. Women, when they're just in general, women get pregnant, right? So okay, they taking time off for that. Women, you got to think about, they are more social creatures, so they want to take vacations and things, like all of these little things. Like they'll take off to go to like certain events and stuff, maybe family things. Guys, we don't really give a freak like that. We're not social. We working 40 plus hours a week and really taking any vacations. When I worked a 9 to 5, I took 0 vacations. Like zero. I started taking vacations when
Because remember, men don't get pregnant.
pregnancy aside, like let's leave that out, right? Let's say nobody's getting pregnant. You have 2 people working. Women work just as much as men do, and on top of that, then
that isn't a fact. So
No.
It isn't a biological fact too. So I'll prove it to you this way, where a statistic isn't around. So biologically, women, they feel more bad emotions. So they are higher in trait neuroticism. They're higher in trait neuroticism, which means that you experience more negative emotions. So since women tend to experience more negative emotions, then what does negative emotions mean? You're more prone to taking off from work, right? So then that's what it leads to. So just the biology of women leads them to just work less because they experience more negative emotions than men experience more negative emotions. And this is a reason why you actually divorced your husband as well, because you experience more. I'm not saying this is the main reason. I'm not talking about all the bad things he did, and how the intersections of the relationship, the dynamic that y'all had. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just your own biology, right? And in general, so what is it? 50% of marriages end in divorce. Women initiate 80% of those divorces. And one of the reasons why is due to finances, but the other reason why is because they report that they're unsatisfied. The reason why they are unsatisfied is because of trait neuroticism. They are higher than that than men are, so they feel more negative emotions. It's a fact. Like, all the psychologists know this.
So I don't have the statistics on,
But it's not
on
a
what you're
statistic.
saying.
This is it.
The facts.
Yeah.
I mean, so I can't dispute or necessarily agree with what you're saying. I would have to see it for myself. But what I will say is that women work just as hard as men. This is what I was saying before you said that.
Okay.
And then they come home, and if there's children involved, the work continues, right?
I agree.
And
they work continues with
so
kids.
they work hard, just as hard as men at work, and by the way, for less money, and doing the same job with the same level of education. But that's a whole nother thing.
Well, the reason why they make less money is because they deserve less money.
No.
Because, they deserve the person that doesn't negotiate
I was just about to say that.
their rate, their money, then they deserve less than a person that is negotiating that. The reason why women goes back to biology and psychology again. Women are more agreeable than men, right? So the person that's more agreeable, if you're getting paid, you're making $40,000 a year, even though you're not happy with it, you may feel more negative emotions towards it, but that still means that you're more agreeable than men. So you're going to be less likely to assert yourself and ask your boss for a raise, which on the man's end, he's less agreeable. So when the man is like, the boss says, yeah, $40,000 a year, the guys is like, bro, I'm doing all of this work. Now I deserve more. Let me go and talk to this dude right now. We're more likely to ask for a raise. That's why men earn more and women earn less, because they deserve less, because they're not asking for the raise.
So I don't necessarily agree with that, but
Okay.
I think that women earn less a lot of times because they're not in the position to grant the money. It's usually another man.
Men are. So men are more owners of the companies and stuff.
Men are usually the ones that are more likely to be in leadership, and then they naturally give men more money than women for the same work and the same.
That's illegal due to what
it may
law
be
is that
illegal,
in
but it
place?
happens.
But you understand, but also, but women,
it may be illegal, but it doesn't stop it from
but
happening.
women are choosing. I'm sorry.
And also, women probably don't assert. I do agree with you that they don't probably assert themselves like men. One, because there's a stigma that when a woman speaks up for herself, or when she asserts herself in certain situations, then she's considered she's considered like a, or she's considered having male energy and
Masculine?
masculine energy and all of that foolishness.
Well, that stigma is only in relationships.
Right.
When it comes to business and finances, like the economy,
Yeah, you
no
need to
one
be
looks
that
at
way.
a woman when she's asserting herself. We look at, okay, dang, she's smart, she's intelligent,
she
she's
doesn't
out
play.
there going to get it.
There are hundreds or thousands of, and I'm going to speak about black women because I'm
Okay.
black, but black women who in work environments feel that they cannot really speak up for themselves because they're going to be considered the angry black woman at the workspace, or the black woman that has the attitude.
I agree.
And she's saying the same
but still,
thing.
that goes back to feelings. Men can feel the same thing, like, oh, I'm not this, I'm not going to be heard, this and this, but we're non-agreeable, so we still are going to go out there and negotiate a higher pay raise. The fact is that women are more agreeable, so they're less likely to negotiate their pay.
But also,
I agree
women
with you.
are.
I'm just saying that the reasons why the women probably don't, and I think that women are starting to speak up more and ask for what they deserve. Now, whether they're getting it is a whole nother situation. But I do agree with you that men are more assertive in terms of negotiating the salary. But honestly, if you have two people that have the same level of education, both people should be getting the same amount of money.
Yeah, so legally,
And that doesn't happen.
And I'll tell you how it's a whole logic fail, right? And it doesn't even make sense because I have businesses, right? So one, as a business owner, if I can get away with paying a person less than another person, than another gender, all my staff will be women. in all my different businesses. I would have all women because then I get to keep more money. So I would hire more women. But the facts is that doesn't even work. If you actually own things and you are a boss and you have employees, you're definitely, if you could get away with paying someone less, you're going to pay a gender's less. All this gender, you're going to work for me because I could pay you less. So what I'm saying that's all in void when you use when you frame the statement that women get paid less than men because of, men are the bosses and men tend to hire, men tend to pay other men more. It's not because of that. And I forgot the name of the legality thing, but Steve, look it up real quick for me. Because it's one law that it's for all companies. Like you can't pay someone less based off their gender.
But women.
Affirmative action? Is it affirmative action?
But they do. There's a holiday that, or not a holiday, but there's a day that is. That's okay. There's a day, and I'll have to get back to you on the date. But there's a day that that women. There's a date, I can't remember what the name of it is, and maybe somebody in the chat can pull it up. But on this particular day, it takes women a whole year to make up for the salary, to be on the same level with men in terms of how much money they make, because women make, I think, 70 cents on the dollar compared to men. So it takes a whole year on this particular day for women to catch up.
So that's false. I get what you're saying.
To catch up with men in terms of the salary. They'd have to work a whole year, in order for it to
I read
match.
that, and they just calculated on money. So that study, I read these studies. These studies was based off of the money that men make, the amount of money that men make, and then the amount of money that women make, but it didn't account for hours worked. It didn't account for education. It didn't account for career paths. It doesn't account for all of that. So like this whole notion that women make less than men because of a social hierarchy, men are at top. That's like false. Like
it's facts.
That's been debunked plenty of times.
It's facts. It's
been
facts.
debunked like that's old.
But women also aren't choosing careers that pay a lot of money compared to
so
men.
Like men are the leaders. Well, men enroll into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and those jobs, those fields, they just pay more. Right. So what do women tend to enroll in? Nurses, secretaries,
hair, nails, cosmetology.
All of these other
women aren't choosing
bartenders. Women aren't choosing. The facts that women get paid less is because women choose fields that pay less. Men choose fields that pay more, and men work more hours, and men assert themselves and negotiate higher pay rates. So like it's just facts.
I know more women who are in STEM, who are in science,
I know they're getting into that, but the ratio
than in any other field. I know more women who are doing that are in nursing, that are in cosmetology, that are in any of those fields that you named. The women that I know are all doing the same. They're in engineering, they're in STEM, they're in some sort of
but the percentage isn't high, right? So what I'm saying is the study you read, I'll break it down for you real quick so you and the audience and everyone can understand. So the studies that you read only accounted for salary.
It didn't. It counted for education too.
Okay, let's say it even counts in for education. Let's put education in there, and let's put the main thing what they looked at is salary. And he looked across the board, and it has the man's salary and a woman's salary here, and it showed that the man's salary, women actually got paid a little bit less than men, right? Well, what was it, 70-something cents or 80-something cents for every dollar that the man makes, right? But it didn't account for the things that I'm listing. So it didn't account for career fields. So if you choose a certain career field that just tends to pay less, which 90% of women get into career fields that deal with people, right? Because women are social creatures, right? Men, we aren't as social, so we get in job fields that it deals with science, technology, engineering, and math, right? That doesn't deal with people, and those fields build the infrastructure of the world. So everything that you're seeing, these mics, these lights, the studio that we in right now, men built all of this. Women don't get in the fields that build things, that build society. Women get in the fields that nursing, secretary,
cosmetology,
home health aid, cosmetology, beauty, stuff like that. That doesn't build anything. Social workers. That doesn't build the infrastructure of the world we live in. So look, it's very simple, right? Anything that is harder, that takes more competence to do, you get paid more. For an example, janitors get paid less than a doctor that's doing surgery. Right? Why does a janitor get paid less than a doctor that's doing surgery? Well, because, the doctor that's doing surgery had to have a doctorate degree to even become, and had to go through many, levels of school to be a doctor and to be a surgeon. It takes high level of competence and skill. It doesn't mean that the janitor isn't smart and has skills. Some janitors do get paid pretty good.
Like mechanics, electricians.
But compared to it, it's just is different.
Just saying general next time, because I don't think that was an accurate statement.
That is accurate. Doctors, a surgeon normally salary is about $300,000 to $400,000. There's not a janitor's salary that's that much.
About with women not getting into stuff that builds infrastructure and stuff like that.
No, I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying that they do. Now they are getting into more of those fields, but the fields, it's still like a 95% to 5% ratio. So 95% led by men in those fields, and only 5% women are in those fields.
But there's a reason for that.
Well,
what's the reason for that? The reason I'm saying is choice. We have a natural proclivity to build things. Y'all have a natural proclivity to birth human beings.
I mean, I actually worked in construction, and I know when I went to
glasses apply, on, chat. We active.
When I went, whatever. When I went to apply, it was a real long process. They literally had us outside in the cold waiting just to get an application for at least a week. This is the process to become an iron worker in New York. It used to be. Then when you get the application, they would pick mostly men. They didn't want to pick women. The women that really got in were the women who had family members that were already in the industry.
You talking about for construction?
You talking about for construction?
Well,
that's a whole other thing.
Because construction requires strength.
Construction requires strength. It
so you're trying to say
endurance.
women don't have strength?
No, we just say that men have more strength and endurance. It's biological that, okay, it's say all nurses. All nurses, they're normally women. Why are they normally women? Because women are more nurturing than men. Men are stronger than women, so we're going to be in the construction fields. That's just like, it's a biology thing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not an insult. It's just facts. Like we need, especially my dad used to do construction. He used to be the guys on the street, drilling the. Like,
even if a man wanted to be a nurse,
he can.
If
he can be a nurse, I know many male nurses.
Yeah,
right.
But a lot of times that's not looked upon as the most masculine type of job.
Because it's not the same thing. A construction worker, a woman doing that is not the most feminine thing.
I'm just saying from other men.
But y'all like calling women masculine.
It's fine for a man to be a nurse.
So why they can't do construction?
But listen, a social stigma should not stop a human being from out there making their dreams come true. So if your dream is to be a scientist or an engineer, that social stigma of you being masculine or something like that shouldn't stop you from your dreams. The facts I'm saying is that women tend to not have those dreams. Women tend to have dreams of helping people socially. That's why they get into social work and nursing and all of these other fields that deal with beauty, like cosmetology. That's just the facts of it. It has nothing to do with society. Like, there's literally laws that restrict business owners from hiring women over men. And I'll say that with all of these, I think it's called affirmative action, but there's laws that's put into place where once your company reaches a certain metric of employees, you have to hire women, and you have to hire black people, and you have to hire Mexican people because of these laws that was put in. But it doesn't say you have to hire white people.
Yeah, but the thing is that even though that there's laws, people have their own biases naturally, and they're going to, whether it's on purpose or not, they're going to choose who they want.
It doesn't work like that. I don't know if you have a business.
I do.
Okay, so but your business don't have a whole lot of employees where you have to report certain things to the IRS. So when you're trying to report certain things to the IRS, you will literally get like a flagged on your taxes if you don't meet certain metrics. And when it comes to gender, and when it comes to race. Racial background. So there's certain things that you have to meet as a big company. Trust me, that's just how it is.
Facts.
That's only if the company has some sort of government funding associated with it.
No. That's just when it comes to like
people.
What?
The companies choose whoever they want to hire based on whatever it is that they want to do. So a government cannot tell a company that they have to hire this many blacks or this many women, or if they do that because they're trying to make a social impact, or they're trying to diversify their
and is what I'm saying, that there are laws put in place to diversify things.
There are, but that doesn't mean people
and guess what,
them.
even with those, you're proving my point even further, even with those laws, women still aren't going into those fields to earn more. So the reason why women earn less is because they deserve less, and that's based off of choice, is what I'm saying.
So what I'm saying is, just to be clear, is that when you have a man and a woman who have the same level of education and they're applying for the same job, the woman
is more likely to get the job because of affirmative action.
No, the woman's more likely, if she does get the job, she's going to get paid less than her counterpart.
No, I'm saying that the woman is more likely to get the job because of the lack of women in that field. Because of the lack of women in that field. So right now, right, if me,
we're talking
me and
about
you,
pay.
No, we could talk about pay too. We could talk about both, right? So, talking about pay is different because that's all about negotiating and
experiences.
Closed mouths don't get fed. You got to negotiate what you deserve, what you think you deserve. And what I'm saying, that men tend to negotiate what they think they tend to deserve. And when it comes to getting into fields with affirmative action, now let's say me and you, we go to a construction site, we both apply, right? We both black. Well, they're gonna kill two birds in one stone with you. Gender, because you're a woman, and black, and it's gonna the race is gonna be because you black. With me, it's gonna be like, you get one for us, but you don't check that other box because you ain't a woman. So you're more like, if we got the same skill and everything, you're going to be more likely to get that job over me. So how is it? So now look, let's wrap it all in one. How is it that men, because you're pretty much saying that the hierarchy of men being the head of being the CEOs of all this company and the ones that's in charge and stuff, right? How is men responsible for women not getting jobs with all of these incentives to even get women to even apply to these jobs?